you're next to so many. You spend so much time with these human beings who are just reduced to essentially their lowest, most vulnerable state when it comes to these situations, especially when it comes time to be sentenced and go to prison. What is that like, dealing with people like him, especially when you see the dichotomy of where he's at, wearing that American flag jacket, throwing a fire extinguisher at the police, to sitting in court and he's crying on your shoulder?
I mean, it's hard, you know. I mean, it's very difficult for my client and his family, and it's hard for me too. I mean, it's because I get to know my clients. I see their humanity. I see the other side of them. That's most of my clients are have lots of wonderful aspects to them, and they made some bad decisions that may have taken place over a few seconds or a few minutes, and from those decisions, they may lose everything they worked for. They potentially lose their liberty, and so it's tough. I mean, I still enjoy it. It's
a strange thing to enjoy.
I guess it's a strange thing to enjoy. I mean, I enjoy the fact that I can help them get ready for that moment. I can help them hopefully get a lower sentence. I can help them focus on the fact that it's not the end, regardless of what may happen in court, regardless of what the sentence may be. Life continues. And they can have value, and their good things can still take place, and I can say that because I've had clients who have gone to prison and have served their time, have been able to do productive things while they were there, and reconnect with society and become productive members of society. So,
do you think networks like Fox and CNN paint, when you deal with this guy one-on-one and you see the humanity in him, and then you go on Fox or CNN and you see how they paint all these people in like one certain light, and they seem to have like one certain narrative, like these are bad guys, like these are all bad guys. Do you notice that?
I mean, I think they want juicy headlines, right? Like you said earlier, that's what gets ad revenue. That's what gets dollars coming in. I don't care if it's Fox or CNN. They're all corporations that survive based on making money, right?
Right.
So their focus many times is limited. They all have an agenda. It may vary slightly, and so there's no doubt that exists. And I was on CNN with this particular case, and their headline was slightly wrong. I mean, and
what was the headline?
That he beat law enforcement, or that he suggesting that there was physical contact, and there was never any physical contact. It was an assault. An assault basically means I put my fist up as if I'm going to hit you, or I hold a weapon up as if I'm going to use the weapon, or I throw something towards you that could be considered a weapon. That's an assault. If I batter you, I'm actually having physical contact, right?
Right.
And there's a huge difference because no one was hurt. There was no contact. Nobody was hurt.
There's like a big wall of shields, right?
Yeah, but it didn't. I don't know that it necessarily even hit the shields.
Oh, okay.
Was it thrown towards them? Absolutely.
Going back to, we talked about it last time you were on the show, the case with the Russian guy, Yuri, I believe his name was,
right,
that you represented. Ever since then, have you had a lot of similar clients to him? A lot of You can't say not similar to him, as in he was completely innocent, right? He got hijacked, his boat got hijacked, and they basically threatened his life, said, take this cocaine into the port or you die. But I mean, people like as far as cartel members and stuff like that, have you dealt with a lot of those types?
Sure. I mean, first of all, no one is completely innocent, right?
Right.
But Yuri was, in my opinion, he was a pawn of the Russian mob. He was a pawn of the Colombian cartel. He was a pawn, in a big scheme, and he was misunderstood by the American war on drugs. And so he became, instead of being a pawn, he became, to the U.S., someone who was actively involved in trafficking large amounts, tons of cocaine. It's, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but there's a lot of vessels that are stopped on a regular basis, multiple times throughout the year, in both the Caribbean and in the Atlantic and in the Pacific Oceans. And they generally have an excess of 1 metric ton of cocaine on these vessels, which is worth a lot of money.
Submarines and stuff too.
Submarines, semi-submersibles. I mean, it's a huge amount of cocaine that is constantly being shipped to Europe, to the United States. The United States is the biggest market for cocaine. And I'm convinced that whenever they stop a vessel, in the majority of the time at least, it's not an accident. It's not like they're out there doing surveillance and they see the vessel and they stop it and it has cocaine in it. It's based on information that's provided by people that are serving prison sentences in the United States. So what I mean by that is that the big cartel leaders, the powerful cartel leaders who end up getting prosecuted in the United States and end up in prison in the United States, they know that if they can get information through sources back home, which includes coordinates and shipments and where it's going to be and when it's going to be there, they know that shipment gets seized by the government, they're going to get a reduction in their sentence. So a bunch of these low-level fishermen, peasants who will be paid a little bit of money to go on these drug trips, they end up coming to the United States. They go to prison for, minimum of 10 years, or more. And the guy who is, and I say the guy because it's usually men, but, could be women as well, the big, powerful drug lord who's sitting in a prison in the United States gets his sentence reduced. So, and that happens all the time. And I know this happens because I've represented people that feed the government that type of information in order to get a lower sentence.
Wow.